WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on there. I want to thank you for being with us. I'm J.W. Simmons, your host. We're talking about children today, and we're talking with some folks that I'm going to say, Jane, I'll start with you. You've kind of dedicated your life. You're with social services, and Jane Dudley, at some point, decided you're going to be involved in something that a lot of people don't pay attention to, and that's our children in a way that they may not understand some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And Carlina Simmons, you've been there, and the world you operate in, both you and Jane, affects people's lives in a way that they might not know it. But we're hearing only a fragment of what you see. So, Jane, you've been program manager now, what is it, about 18, 20 years you've been involved?
No, I've been with the DSS for 18 years. I've been with CPS 15 of those years in different levels. I started out as a line social worker. I was an investigator, did that for several years, and then I went into supervision and then eventually became program manager. And
yet you're still here and you're still driving forward.
Yes.
I mean,
it's crazy, and it's been a wild ride.
And it goes. So, Carlina, same with you. You've been involved in social work as program manager, and really a lot of your background has been, I'm going to say, hands-on kind of things. I mean, yes. You're really there at the front lines. You're not just, neither one of you, but particularly in your area, you're not just sitting there, saying, well, I got this information, so I pass it on up to my person, and I got it from another person. You're really out there doing the job.
Yes.
Let's start with this idea of Adoption Awareness Month. Why is it important for us to not only have an Adoption Awareness Month, but what is this all about?
Well, November is Adoption Awareness Month. That's why I have this shirt on today. Our white ribbon signifies the awareness that children need a forever home. And it's something that started years ago during the Reagan administration. And since then, it has resulted in about 50,000 children a year being adopted. So it's certainly a month that we take to educate and to celebrate and inform the community that children do need a forever home. And part of that is becoming a foster parent. We have a lot of children who come into foster care and go into licensed foster homes, and those individuals usually end up adopting those children.
Adoption, Jane, when you think about that and with what Carlina just talked about, is this something over your years of experience that you have seen has increased the demand for adoption? And when I say demand, the need for adoption, or has it been pretty much same baseline of, I don't know, ever so many a month, or has it ratcheted it up? Does it go up and down?
Most of the children that come through the Child Protective Services Division are not adopted. Our job is to work to, if we have to remove those children, reunify them with their parents. And most of the time that can happen. And if it can't happen, we try to keep those children with relatives. And some of those relatives end up adopting. And sometimes it's a foster parent that we've placed a child with that ends up adopting the child. But if adoption didn't exist, those children would not have a forever family. They wouldn't have they can't go back to their family of origin. So now what are they going to do? They need a new family. They need a family that can take them in and provide that love and that care and that support that all children deserve and need. But I would say percentage-wise, 10% of what CPS sees goes to foster care. 90% of our CPS cases never go to her unit. 90%. We're able to intervene and put services in place so those children can stay with their birth parents.
The fact that you guys are constantly in demand for what you do, and we're talking a rural county that, about basically 60, 70,000 people at the most in a rural area. It requires not only you, but volunteers and others when you look at adoption awareness just in this small county. So it begs the obvious question, where do we start and how do we understand how that child got to that point? Obviously, it was not the child's fault. The child was brought into this world. So is it that parents just leave? Is it accidents that occur? What's the core cause of that 10% that need adoption?
I would say the social problems. I mean, we do have some families who maybe the parents pass away, but that's not the norm. It's normally the social issues that we are seeing, the domestic violence, the substance abuse, that people just can't, they just keep coming back. They can't get past that. Mental health issues is a big thing that we deal with, getting people stable enough that they can parent. And so, those are the major issues, wouldn't you say, Carlina, that bring children to the point where they can't reunify, and now we need permanence in a different way.
And I would say that those are primarily problems that people want to hide.
Yeah.
There's shame around addiction and being in a violent relationship, or facing poverty, facing homelessness. Those are the things that people try to hide. And a lot of times, maybe even people within their family unit don't know how extreme the problem is until
it's too late.
DSS gets involved. So I just think a lot of times parents are trying to navigate those issues on their own, and they get to a point where they need help outside of that family unit. And
why do those issues exist? A lot of times the parents that we deal with, they have unresolved trauma from their own childhoods that they never got the counseling that they needed. There was never any resolution. And so now they are taking that baggage into a parenting situation, and you have to deal with your thing. You have to deal with whatever's happened. And I would say that that's a big problem that we deal with, is their own trauma that they've had in their childhood. And that now what happens to you in childhood directly affects who you're going to be as a parent.
When you hear what Jane just said, how do you process that from Carlina Simmons' perspective when you see that child and you know that's the kind of environment, and do you feel like there's something you can do to change that? What is required to take that child and say, okay, we're going to kind of program your brain that this is not the normal, what you've been happening? Is it just a lost cause?
Well, it's two different things, because a lot of our work goes into the parents, because the goal is to reunify the family, to put the family unit back together. So in order for the child to be safe and for the child to have what they need and kind of try to break that cycle, you have to affect change with the parents. I would say 75% of our work is going into the parent, breaking down those cycles and building them back up so that they can parent appropriately and we can rejoin the family and also keep it from happening again.
Jane, I know Carlina used the singular term parent. Do you find that most of the kids and children, is it one parent family? Is it one parent raising children? What are you seeing?
I don't know the numbers on that. I mean, we have there's a wide variety of that. We even have sometimes, grandparents that are raising children. Sure. We have great grandparents that are raising children. You might have mom and dad, the nuclear family going on. You might have single mother. It's just a blend. You might have two sisters living in a home that they are sharing a home because of the financial crisis that people are facing. So it's just their families look different. It could be mom and her partner. But regardless of whatever that family unit looks like, people have their own problems, and that's what is affecting how they're raising their children, the environment. There's so many contributing factors to what's going on with these children.
Is it, Carlina, is it hard to nail down one specific thing or multiple layers of things that needs to be addressed?
We try as much as we can to address all of the issues, but for the sake of time and being able to ensure that we are addressing the major issues, we try to pull out the top needs and focus on those. Because if you can help correct those things with the parents, then the other smaller issues will follow. So if you help them build a stronger foundation and help them develop better coping skills, then some of the smaller things they will be better equipped to manage.
I mean, you might have a family who the parent has an addiction problem, and that's caused them to lose their job, and now they've lost their home. So now you've got three different issues. You've got no employment, you've got no housing, and you've got an addiction problem. And that's what she's talking about. We have to identify what are the major needs. I mean, there could still be other things. Counseling's needed, but we have to look at what does this family need right now to survive and stay together.
We're going to take a break, and I want to kind of hold that thought in the sense of what this child needs now, and maybe pick up on that when we come back from break, because I really like where we started. I want to dig deeper though, and look at some of those things that you've seen that people may never see, and give us an opportunity to see through your eyes for a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're talking about something critically important to us, to society, and that's our children. We'll be back in a moment.
Providing fewer commutes, more backyard offices, and crystal clear meetings. Providing less, you froze up, and more presence in your presentations. Providing a better internet experience. Providing possible.
You're out for an evening on the town. Finally a chance to relax and forget that you left your front door completely unlocked. Fortunately, you just installed a security system from Star Communications. With just your cell phone, you can check on your house, lock it down, light it up, and get back to relaxing.
You forgot to put Buster in his crate.
Unfortunately, we can't help with that. Security and automation from Star Communications. Call today to find out more.
Honey, do we pay our bill?
What bill?
The Star Communications bill.
No worries, honey. With Star's paperless billing and automatic draft system, I get a notification sent right to my phone. There's no need to be bothered with those paper statements, and our bill is paid on time every month.
Well, that's easy and convenient.
It sure is, honey.
Honey?
Yes, dear.
The bake.
Oh, right.
If you run a business, you need sales. To get sales, you need customers. To get customers, you need exposure. Let our team of experts craft and produce the perfect video ad to reach your intended audience while making the most of your advertising dollars. Call 1-800-706-6538 or visit starcom.net to contact our Star Communications production team and get your business moving to the next level.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We've got a show today that's important for you, for your community. The name of the show that we're doing is called We Should Know. My name is J.W. Simmons. I'm your host. We're talking with Carlina Simmons, and we're talking with Jane Dudley. Carlina, you're a social work manager in foster care adoption. Jane, adult and family services program manager. You guys have been doing this for some time. We're trying to get into I guess more than the headlines, and I think we've started out pretty good. We're kind of looking through your eyes at what you see on a daily basis, on what you see that for the most of us, maybe we might not be able to sleep well at night. Maybe we would, as the old saying goes, need some additives in somehow to put us to sleep, because you see things that we may call horrific. And that's children with literally nowhere to go. And we're talking, Carlina, everything from birth right on up to probably 12, 15, 16, even teenagers with nowhere to go. And I want to pick up on that piece of it in this portion of the show. Help us understand more in the details of what you see and why it's so critically important, and who addresses this. There's not so much you can do. Let's talk about churches. Let's talk about volunteer organizations. Adoption Awareness Month. Do we have a group that's pushing that? Does media do a proper job in telling this story? Carlina, I'll start with you.
Well, I think that at the crux of it is the community involvement or lack thereof. Yeah. And I don't think that it's necessarily because people don't want to, but perhaps they don't know how to get started or where to go. Or maybe some people just don't think that what they do will make an impact. And we believe that people make an impact. The community makes an impact. When you see children going in the wrong direction, reaching out, becoming a mentor, calling DSS to report the things that you see, getting active in your church, starting mentorship programs in your community do make a difference. And I would say that even if you don't know exactly how to put something together, just start. Go online, look up information, make phone calls, connect with organizations who are already doing it to start to put together your own outreach efforts in the community, because that's really what's needed. Community makes a difference.
Jane, this has been going on for some time, though. This whole thing with children, it's not something that just started. There's been problems with lack of parenting for years, if not decades.
Oh, I'd say centuries. I mean, there's always been an epidemic, I think, of child maltreatment. I can't remember the little girl's name, but we learned about this in training. But there was this is back in I think it was like late 1800s, and this child was being abused, and the only entity that was able to respond to that incident was animal rights agency. They had an animal rights we as a society had an animal rights agency. There was no children's services agency that could respond to the maltreatment that this little girl was enduring. And so that's how it was birthed. That's how Child Welfare Services was birthed, out of that little girl. And it was it was an animal society that helped her. And so, yes, it has been going on for decades, centuries. I mean, it's always been around. And so, what is the answer? I think the answer is education. I think the answer is awareness, helping the community understand what is going on right next door, what's going on in your community. Growing up, I had a 2-parent home. My family, my mom and dad worked. They provided for us. I kind of fell into social work, and the veil was lifted in my very community. I grew up here. I went to Clinton High School. I never knew that there were so many families in crisis right in my own community until I started doing social work. And I mean, sexual abuse of children, small children, domestic violence that children live in. And children are a lot of times children are in a fight or flight mode, and that makes it impossible for them to go to school and learn and be in a relaxed environment where they can actually absorb what the teacher is saying. And then the school begins to see problems. And they wonder, well, why can't this child sit down? Why can't this child behave? What's going on with this child? Look in the home and you'll see what's going on with the child. And that's a lot of times how we get involved through the school system. The school is able to see things that we can't, makes reports. We become involved and we begin to dig and not to harm the family, and it does feel intrusive. As we show up at the home, we knock on the door and we want to come in and talk with you about the potential that your child's being maltreated. And that can be very uncomfortable for people, and we get reactions due to that. We're prepared for that.
Sure.
But that's the nature of our job, and that's how it works. And then we begin to try to tear down those barriers so that the family can actually get to a place where they're ready to begin healing.
Carlina, do you feel like there's a need for, or lack, should I say, of folks understanding what is, by definition, right and what is wrong as it relates to children, and how you treat children and how you nurture children and how you create that environment to grow healthy children? Because we see substance abuse as a big issue, not only for the parents, but at a certain point in life, teenagers is using all kinds of things now. And it's kind of, sometimes I look at what y'all are doing and I'm just wondering, is this a war that's already been lost? Or are you still willing to fight the battle? And how do we kind of say, well, wait a minute, here's why this is happening. And to Jane's point, you get to that door to go in. How much resistance are you getting? And is that resistance simply because people are just naive?
Well, I think part of the problem is that everybody thinks they're right.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're right. So you do have to be careful when you are working with a family to not necessarily tell them that they are doing something wrong. Now there are some absolutes when it comes to how you treat a child. Yeah. But in cases where we're not talking about severe abuse or neglect, there's a way that you do have to work with the family to say, hey, I understand that you feel like this is the correct way to parent, but let's give you the tools to show you a better way.
A different way.
A better way, a different way, a way that is maybe going to give you some better results than what you have been doing. And I think that when you partner with a family in that way, they start to open up, and they're open to hearing, and they're open to receiving and trying to implement what you're showing them.
Is there something to the phrase that we parent as we were parented? Is that a truism in the sense that you see people that are doing the same thing, maybe, and it may be wrong, and it may be, some of them may be right, God bless them, but the things that they're doing wrong is devastating that child, goes from one generation to the other and is passed down?
I definitely think there's patterns that we learn from our parents, whether they're healthy patterns or, destructive patterns. And you just have to be able to reflect and say, is this really, working for me? Is this working for my family? And that's where we're trying to bring the family to a place of reflection and helping them understand, let's take a look at how you're handling things. And like she said, can we do it in maybe not even, well, it would have to be a better way, but a different way. We do have to choose our words in a way that we're not offending, because we're not going to break down those barriers if they feel attacked by us or offended by us. But yes, it's definitely, there's patterns that we learn from our parents, and we really have to take a look at ourselves and find out if those are working for us.
Carlina, do you see yourself at times, or are you perceived at times when you walk up to that door and knock on the door that you're a threat, and are you met with hostility or conformity?
I would say most times there's resistance because people already have an idea of who we are as social workers. And
you're just here to take my child.
Right.
Yes.
And a lot of times people feel like we're judging or looking down on them. There's a lot of, well, you don't know, you've not lived my life. And so you have to work to break down that defense. You have to work to gain that trust so that you can partner. I use that word a lot with families. We're not here to come in and take over. We are here to partner with you. We are here to empower you. We want to lift you up. We want to help you and gaining that trust, because there are perceptions of who we are as social workers.
We're very misunderstood. I would suggest that child welfare is very misunderstood. People think they have an idea about what we do and what our goal is, but we did not get into this field to remove children from their families. I think I can speak for every social worker in our building. Nobody went to school and, got their degree to say, oh, I want to go out and, break up families and remove children and put them in foster care with strangers. That's not our goal.
When we come back from break, I'd like to address some details through your eyes, what you have seen, and the things you have to address in your role in protecting our children. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned.
For the ultimate Wi-Fi experience, you need whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Star's whole home Wi-Fi provides ultimate coverage, ultimate performance, and ultimate power all the time. Star's whole home Wi-Fi systems feature the latest Wi-Fi 6 technology and are equipped with unrivaled bandwidth and 4 times more simultaneous connections. So you can connect tons of devices throughout your home with no lag and no downtime. Plus, with 24/7 support and remote troubleshooting, you can rest assured that Star is always there to help you should any issues arise. Star's whole home Wi-Fi also comes with the Command IQ mobile app, putting you in control of your home network and making it easy to set up and connect devices, run network speed tests, pause Wi-Fi, and set parental controls all from the palm of your hand. It's the ultimate Wi-Fi experience. Contact Star today to get started.
Let's get out of here.
Protect what matters most in your life with security from Star Communications.
105.7. 105.7. Tuning into Christian 105.7 is tuning in to a space of hope, encouragement, answers, and love. With the magic of radio or the convenience of the internet, Christian 105.7 is focused on sharing the universal truth and light of Christ with a local touch that creates that special feeling of community. More than just another broadcast station, we're your neighbors. Christian 105.7. What faith sounds like.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for being with us today. We're talking about issues facing your community. We're talking about some of the most important things that folks would, I think, agree today is our children and adolescent development and behavior. We're talking with Carlina Simmons, who is a social worker program manager, foster care and adoption, and Jane Dudley, adult family services program manager. You guys have seen a lot. We're trying to get into that world that we can get a glimmer of what you see on a daily basis. And we've talked about this previously on this show. When you look at that world that you live in, and I would ask the question, and I want to kind of go in two directions here. When you see something, it's not necessarily when the phone rings or somebody reports something. You've got eyes in society. I would dare say it's a challenge for you to go through a grocery store without seeing something that causes you to say, wait a minute, you kind of want to follow people to the car or something, but help us understand what you're seeing and what we need to look at as a lack of existence in our society today? Carlina, I'll start with you.
I would say right now we're seeing a lot more young people with substance abuse issues, significant substance abuse issues. Not just a teenager who may smoke marijuana every now and then, but children who are smoking meth, children who are smoking crack, taking fentanyl, Percocets, significant substance abuse addiction issues with our children has definitely been something I think we've seen more of, especially since COVID. Would you say, Jane?
Yeah.
And the underlying mental health issues within our children and also parents who just don't have access to the resources that they need to really get to the root of those issues.
What does those resources look like, Carlina?
Well, there's counseling services, there's outpatient services, there's inpatient, probably less inpatient services than we need right now to help these children and parents, but it's limited. It's limited, and I wouldn't say it's mental health's fault. They don't have the funding that they need to really touch all of the areas that they would like to touch. But we're seeing a lot more of that, and that's a great concern, especially for our children.
And we've had those things, counseling services, professional services. What we need, in my opinion, is some unofficial mentorship, ways that the community can partner with these families, whether it's through the churches or other ways. But I would like to see the community as a whole acknowledge that this is alive in our community. It's an issue that's spiraling out of control, and it's great to have professional services. It's great to have inpatient, but we need almost like families to be just surrounded with support and it's ugly. It's ugly. And people don't want to do it because they're afraid. They don't know how to start. They say, well, I'm not equipped to do that. Are you equipped to give someone a hug? Are you equipped to give someone an encouraging word? Are you equipped to invite someone to church? Yes, we can do those things. We can, buy a bag of groceries and take it to somebody that we know is struggling with, some food insecurity. There are ways, if you look for ways, you will find something that you can do. And we all look around and see families that we know are struggling. We know they are.
I remember when my dad would be outside washing the car and he would see the boys walking down the street and he would stop them and say,
that's
hey,
a great example.
Come on over here and help me wash this car. And as they're washing the car, he's talking to them about life. He's asking them about what's going on at home. Where's your mom? Where's your dad? Why are you outside today? And that was 30 years ago. Times are different now. People might be afraid to ask a young teenage boy to come over and help them wash their car, but he would do that. And even to this day, some of those boys who are now men, when they need somebody to talk to, they'll show up at the house.
And we need men. We need fathers. Mothers are important, but there's such an epidemic now, and I keep using that word of, absent fathers. In fact, that's a word that we use all the time at work. AP, that's the acronym we use, AP. Where's the absent parent? And normally that's the father that's away from the home. And mom is there, hopefully. Sometimes she's not. Sometimes it's dad. But we are always, in cases looking for that absent parent, it feels like. And most of the time that's the dad. And it could be different reasons why he's not involved. Maybe mom is preventing him from being involved, and we address that. Or maybe he has his own issues. Maybe he's not in the area. But that's part of what we do in our casework, is to try to connect that child back with that AP if he's willing. If that father's willing.
What you guys are just displaying is what I hear a lot of is this early childhood development and how critical those first 2,000 days are from a child from birth to they get about 6, 7, 8 years old. They develop what the norm is. So, Carlina, I hear you saying, and Jane both, that we've got children today as we're sitting here, probably, I can't put a number on it, but that have developed a false sense of what the true world should be like, and their norms are distorted. And so if they want something, they take it, or they figure out a way to steal it, destroy it, and nobody has, as you talked about your example, has structured that. Back to your observation, Jane, it's a community effort, but how do you suggest to folks that they engage the community in restructuring and assuring the effective and proper development of a child?
I think it's as simple as what she was just describing. We're not asking the community to go out and get a degree, in counseling or social work or anything like that. We're just asking for you to look with your eyes and see what you can find. Look for a way to serve. Look for a way to help. You will find it. You will find it. You will find it at the grocery store. You will find it at Walmart. You will find it in your neighborhood if you only look and then have the courage to take a step and reach your hand out to just strike up a conversation. If you don't know your neighbor and maybe you see some ruckus going on over there, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Try to befriend them to see if you can not infiltrate their household, right, but see if you can, what can you do to serve in your own neighborhood? What can you do to serve in your own community? I think sometimes people think they have to do this big grandiose thing, but no, I'm just kindness. Inviting someone to church, inviting them, to have a conversation, just having a conversation. You find out things and then you have a better idea. Well, how can I help that person? But people have to be willing to help. Mm-hmm. People have to be willing to just branch out from my four and no more. I mean, we have this idea now where I'm going to worry about, I have this life where I go to my job, I go home, cook supper, I get my family homework done, everything. If we don't do something different as a community, we're doomed. We're doomed because that is the freight train. I mean, that's the area we're going in. Professional services they're there, but they don't always work the way that we want them to. And I just feel like that if the community could come alongside and partner with what the professional world was doing, we'd be in a much better place.
Carlina, I think Jane's really been putting her heart into this program today, and I want to get you kind of where we are here is that people are listening and they're watching the show now and they're saying, help us understand. We're talking community. We're talking people stepping up. We're saying get out of your comfort zone. We're hearing that. Are these things realistic? Can we really, just through what we're doing here with our communications, cause people to say, wait a minute, maybe I need to rethink. What else do we need to do? Is there something else that you can add to this?
It is realistic, and there are things that people can do, even the smallest thing. I know that on our level as an agency, we're always seeking foster parents. We're always seeking people in the community who are willing to open up their home and care for and love and impart into a child. And there's opportunities through those fostering relationships to have a shared parenting relationship with the parents. We've seen beautiful things come out of the relationship between a bio parent and a foster parent to be able to propel that parent to growth and success. So certainly on an agency level, we're always seeking that. On a community level, I think that there's a lot of people out there who have a heart, but maybe they're just afraid to broach the situation because times have changed and you don't know how people are going to react. You don't know how a child is going to react if you speak out and say, hey, don't do that. Or I saw you drop that soda can, pick that up. Mm-hmm. You could do that 30 or 40 years ago, but today you don't know how that child may react. So I do understand sometimes maybe the trepidation, but I do strongly believe that a community makes a difference. A community made a difference for me for Jane, for you. And our children still need that. They need us. Our children, these are our children. They need us.
It's not just a DSS problem. It's not just, I say this every time I come on here. It's not just a law enforcement problem. It's not just the mental health world's problem. It's all of our problem. I mean, everything that is happening in the world today is going to affect me in some way. It's going to affect you in some way. It's going to affect my children in some way. It all fits together.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and get into some more detail and also talk about the adoption process itself. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Call a friend. We're talking with folks about, again, one of the most important things to us today is our children and the future.
Eastern North Carolina is a beautiful place where we gladly choose to call home, and we strive to provide the best communications services. STAR is committed to improving communications to all our service areas because we want to improve the communities where we not only work, but also live. STAR Communications. We are neighbors serving neighbors.
Just because something may work doesn't mean it's right for your business. Let STAR Communications knowledgeable consultants help you customize a hosted voice system that's right for you. Our dedicated experts work with you to understand your business needs and guide you at every step, from choosing and installing services to ongoing maintenance and support. Contact STAR today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for being with us today. J.W. Simmons is my name. I'm your host. The program is called We Should Know, and we're hoping today we're bringing you some information that maybe you feel like there's a problem. We're talking to you with folks here that look at the behavioral health side, the social services side, and we're talking with Carlina Simmons, program manager, and of course, Jane Dudley, also program manager of social service, DSS, Department of Social Services right here in this county. We've talked about a lot of things in the previous segments on the show. You guys have been on before. You understand this is a conversation. We're here at the holiday season. And during the holidays, I think we all start thinking about children because let's face it, children and there's gifts going on. There's tinsel in the air, people with bright lights and parties. But for the most part, we kind of forget this whole Christmas thing is about Jesus Christ and our religious faith and base. Social Services does Christmas tree programs and that kind of thing. What are you guys doing at Christmas to kind of highlight and help those people that maybe have a little more need or just don't get anything?
Well, we have a Christmas cheer program, and that program serves our foster children and our adult wards. We have 50 adult wards who are in our guardianship. How many foster children do we have right now?
115.
115. So 115 plus the 50 wards that we have. And these adults are from 18 to 118. It's a large gap, but adults who are in our guardianship who don't have other family members that can be their guardian, maybe they have a disability or they don't have capacity, but this program, we ask the community to partner with us to make Christmas special for them, so that our foster children as well as those adults can have items that they want, just like we all want at Christmas time to have a present under the tree. And so if the community or anyone listening would like to be a part of that, they just need to reach out to myself or Carlina, and we will align them with a child that they can sponsor. And we can't give out identities. We can't give out names, but we would love to have some people to help us with that.
Carlina, when you talk about that, For example, if it's individuals, as you know, that would like to do that maybe they're not aware of it, and they're listening to the show today. Do they call you by phone? Can they email you? Is there something we can like put on our page here that lets folks know that? Can you help us? How do they get to you?
Yes. So individuals who would like to either provide a monetary donation or adopt a child or an adult involved with adult services can call 910-592-7131, and they can ask for Jane Dudley, Carlina Simmons, or Rhonda Matthews, and we will be very happy to speak with them and point them in the right direction. We ourselves as program managers are accepting the monetary donations, and we can also connect individuals to children and adults who they would like to adopt.
If they want to make a donation, maybe somebody out there is thinking, well, I just want to do something good for children, and I've been very blessed in my life, and I just want to write a check for $100 to $1,000. Can they do that? And is that something that, first question is going to be, is this a tax deductible thing, or is this just something I'm just making a donation to?
I think it is tax deductible, but they can put it to the Sampson County Department of Social Services if they want to write a check and put in the memo line Christmas cheer program, and it'll go into that exact fund so that we can then use those monies to purchase gifts. And each child and each adult even writes their wish list. So we try to purchase items that they actually want. They're not just getting random items. They're getting some things that they have actually asked for.
Do you find that a lot of children that ask for things are asking for things that a lot of us just accept as, well, I figured everybody would have socks, or everybody would have a pair of shoes, or is it personal items, or what is it? It's
personal items, but the kids that we have in care, they're just like other kids. They want Xboxes, and they want,
what they've seen on TV.
Yeah. They want those things, and they shouldn't just get socks. You know, we don't want them to just get socks and a candy cane. Sure. We want them to actually have a Christmas like other kids have.
Because it's a special time of year.
It is.
Do you think children today that you deal with understand this is a special time of the year simply because we're celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, or is it a special time of the year that people just get gifts and we really don't know why, but every year we get together and we just get gifts? I get so caught up sometimes in the idea that Christmas becomes tinsel and celebration and bright lights, and we forget all the other stuff.
Well, I guess it depends on the age of the child and what they're taught. The little ones know they're going to get gifts. They may not always understand the reason for Christmas. Our older children, depending on where they live and what they're exposed to, they may understand what the real reason for Christmas is. But just for the simple fact that our children are in foster care, we do go a bit overboard for Christmas. Christmas is a big deal at Sampson County DSS. And because of the outpouring of our community over the years, we've been able to provide beautiful Christmases for our children. I mean, you would be amazed at the things that our children receive. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I never got that. I mean, the community really, really shows up for our families for Christmas, and we appreciate that so much.
And the most important thing is that we want our kids to be in a home where they feel safe. Even if it's a foster home, we want them to be in a foster home where they feel safe and feel loved, and feel like their needs are being met. And so that's why we're really wanting to bring to the attention of the community our need for foster homes. That's something that's lacking, not just in Sampson County, not just in North Carolina, but nationwide. I think there's a crisis with having licensed foster homes. And then, of course, we encourage people to open their hearts and their homes to adoption, so that a child can have that forever family and be with that family every Christmas.
When we think about foster homes, folks that maybe have never thought about this before, if you have a situation that you are even considering, and maybe it's just a spark listening to you today, and they say, I really thought about that. I'd like to find out more. Obviously, you can go to you can go to the DHHS website, and that's the Department of Health and Human Services, and pull up this information. But what is the very first step if they're local? And did they reach out to you to start with and say, here's who I am. I don't get involved right now, but I want to just kind of explore the possibility. Because if they're thinking about it, that's a good sign. The other part is they got to understand there's a process.
Yes. So they can reach out to Sampson County DSS directly. I provided the number earlier, but I will say it again. It's 592-7131, and they can ask for Carlina Simmons. There is a training component. There's an assessment of the home. We want to make sure that the environment is safe for the children. But there are classes. There's 30 hours of training that have to be completed. And then there's a licensure process of the home to ensure that the home is safe and then that the environment is what it needs to be for the children. But we're always seeking families, and anyone who is interested is welcome to give me a call and obtain some more information.
Jane, that process is not intended to be excluding people, but it's intended to assure that person has not only the ability, but understands what they're getting.
And to educate them.
Yes.
Because some people, and don't feel like that, if someone's listening, they think, well, maybe that might be for me. It might not be. Call us. Let's talk through it. And you might say, well, after hearing what you've said, I don't think that's for me. But you won't know unless you call and talk with us. But those classes are to equip you to be able to deal with the children that would be placed in your home, to educate you, to help you understand how to deal with the issues that will come up.
And another program, I'm going to touch on this one very quickly. You alluded to it a while ago, though, is the Guardian Ad Litem program is very critical for people to step up and be trained and understand to basically represent that adolescent in whether it's court cases or whatever it may be.
Sure. Kenneth Chambers is our local GAL supervisor, and we're not over the GAL program, but I can absolutely link anyone that wants to become a volunteer to Ken Chambers. If they would just give me a call.
The big key here, Carlene, is that folks listen to the number, and we'll try to post that on the screen for people viewing this and repeat it over and over again to reach out to one or the other of you guys or whoever else there at Social Services, but at least explore it. If it's something that you feel like there's something touched me to do this today, it's go ahead and call that number, leave a message, you'll get back with them. And just take that step and just walk around and look at it. Look at what the need is. Explore what you can do. And we really are blessed. Many of us are extremely blessed. Thank God every day. But the reality is we need to understand that if you're truly at that moment in your life and you have the sense that you might do that, I mean, that's a great move at Christmas.
Yes.
There's no gift that would be better than a foster parent.
That's right.
That is right.
So I'll give you about 10 seconds, anything you want to add? And
to whom much is given, much is expected. I just think that if you're blessed and you're in a place that you can give back, do it. Don't just, not take that step because you're afraid. That it's really our duty. It's our duty as citizens to look around and see what the needs are in our community and beyond, not just in our own families, and find a place that we can make a difference and serve.
10 seconds.
And I would say, don't think that just because you're not a social worker or you don't have a college degree that you can't make an impact, because you can. Every day we are faced with situations that we've never seen before, and we just have to spring into action.
I want to thank both of you for what you do and for your dedication and years of service, and hopefully you'll inspire other people to step up 10, 15, 20 years from now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. We look forward to seeing you each and every week right here, and may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.